So this is very interesting, and the reason that I kind of did it through different ways, but the core message is this, and what actually impressed me a lot was that I didn't deliberately ask that question, and I didn't deliberately framed it this way, but my idea behind this conversation was to present this particular aspect of Islam, right? Because always when we define Islam, what is Islam, and we say these are the pillars and this is that and whatever, right? This is a totally different perspective of Islam. If it's new for me, imagine it's new for many out there, right? If we not just frame Islam this particular way, but you live Islam this particular way, then all those negative associations with Islam, that if a kid is going for halakha in the masjid, then he's going to get to the extreme, or he's going to get into violence and extremism and those kinds of things. Or they are taught something negative, or all those negative connotations attached to Islam, right? But if you look at it from this particular perspective, then this is the solution to most of the problems that we are seeing out there in the community, whether they're Muslim youth suffering from those elements or the non-Muslim youth, right? Not just youth, but human beings in general. This is about our deen, right? And the way we frame it. But I'm thinking that if you frame it this particular way, then there's no way that if you live a life of a spiritual life based on this particular model, try to be here, away from here, and still go to the extreme, still have that anger and frustration and negativity and hate inside of you.
Yeah.
Right? So just this final touch to give it from that particular perspective, that this is the essence of our true belief. This is the essence of our deen, right?
Yeah. These are the dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not. There's nothing changing about Islam here. I mean, if you look carefully at the life of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, and the majority of the Muslims throughout history, you can actually see this pattern running.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we look at, or we read our history through a cultural lens, and many things go missing. And I believe this usually goes missing in our modern or more contemporary Muslim cultures, is that we're more focused on external actions,
exactly,
the public display of things, rather than the real dynamics. Because human nature, we have to understand human nature and work with it. Actually, Ibn al-Qayyim, he has a beautiful analogy in his book about human nature. He actually says human nature is... He gives an example, an analogy. He says, there is a river, very powerful river. And sometimes it overflows. So it destroys people's fields, crops, and sometimes houses. So there are three types of people who try to deal with it. So one group of people decided to leave it as it is. Ignore it. When it comes, we'll just deal with whatever consequences. And these are he said, these are the people who don't cultivate themselves. Whatever happens, whatever, like, people follow their desires, follow whatever comes up. Generally speaking, we're talking about these some of these people say, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. And he said there's another group of people who decided, no, they said, what we will do, we'll create a dam to stop the river, so it doesn't come even here and doesn't destroy anything. And a group of this second group was two groups into that one category. The second one said, no, we're going to go to where the river gushes from, where it springs from, and go and block that spring, so it doesn't have to come here. The third group, they said, the river is not bad. What we can do, we can change its direction, and we can create canals, so when it overflows, this overflow is channeled through other canals, and we can drive those canals to new fields and grow more stuff. So there would be no damage, and we're going to use this and benefit from it instead of being harmed by it. So he said the first group obviously is going to eventually ruin their homes and maybe drown them, the ones who just let it go, flow as it is. The second group, which was two groups actually, people who either blocked it right from where it springs or created a dam, he said the build-up of the flow of water is going to grow, is going to build up even more and grow until a point of eruption where it will be complete devastation and destruction. And the third group are the only ones who are going to survive it. And he says this is human nature. This is how wise people deal with human nature. You're not supposed to block it. You're not supposed to ignore it. You're supposed to understand it and manage it well to the way where you maximize the benefit and almost maybe just cancel or exterminate the harm completely. So this is what Islam really does with us. It tells us how to manage our human nature.
Exactly.
And we need to understand this nature to be able to manage it well and benefit from it. Otherwise, if we go against human nature, it's like we're building a dam. It's going to build up, and one day it will just blow the dam.
Exactly.